It's very interesting to hear just some ushers. Oh.
The door was closed. I thought you had her in there.
No, I didn't. This is our cat.
This is Kitty.
This is Kitty.
You're going to do the Heister impression today.
Hello, Iditarod Nation. And welcome to our kitchen.
Welcome to our kitchen.
How was that? No, you need to do Bruce Lee.
I don't know Bruce Lee's voice. I never listened to him before much.
Okay.
I've never really watched Insider.
Okay.
So, good job. Nice impression.
Speaking of Insider, you and I were talking about the Insider last night.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying how... Hold on. I just lost my train of thought. We were talking about the Insider.
Yes.
And we were talking about how fortunate we are to have the Insider.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically Greg Heister.
Yes.
We are very fortunate to have Greg Heister.
Yes, very.
Mm-hmm.
He does a very good job. Has a good voice.
He is the
presence.
voice of the Iditarod, and he does a tremendous amount of work on the off season.
Mm-hmm.
He's gained the trust of mushers, fans, family.
Yes.
He's invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would like to see his program get a bigger budget.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look
Iditarod.
Yes.
Iditarod sponsors, future potential Iditarod sponsors.
Let's get it out there. Yes.
Yeah. Insider, they could do a lot.
Yes.
But they are doing the best with what they have.
They're doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Every year I'm impressed. And there's continual comments about the Insider and just how they're doing a good job, especially this year with the back of the pack. Yeah. The new integration of the trail cams and the live feed.
I know that every year they try to make an improvement of some sort. So it's just hopefully getting better and better and better. So
mm-hmm.
Yes.
And shout out to Katie Jo Dieter, who is part of the Insider crew this year, taking the spot of Liz Failer, who also does an incredible job.
Yes.
It's nice seeing some fresh perspective out there. Katie Jo is a veteran Iditarod musher. Mm-hmm. So having her insight and just commentary, it's been really fun. I think she's doing a great job. I think that's also what the Insider needs, is just younger, fresh.
Yes, lively personalities that are just new.
Yes.
Yep.
And the entire Insider crew, the trail crew, everybody. I know there's a lot more than just Greg and Bruce. They're kind of the face, but behind the scenes, thank you.
Yeah, we have Sean Insider
as well. Yes, Sean
Underwood's out there this year.
Today I was watching the live feed in Nikolai, and Sean was doing rating the musher walks to get their water.
I did not.
What did he call it?
I did not see that.
It was great. We all appreciate some good Sean talking.
Well, speaking of Sean Underwood, if you have not watched him and his brother's podcast, Mushing Alaska, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, very good podcast. We'll be on there Friday.
You will be.
I'll be on there Friday speaking to his brother.
All right. Let's get down to business.
Okay. As soon as I pulled these out of the fridge, I said, you know what this reminds me of, Sophia? Last year on the coast, I forgot my cooker.
You got a penalty.
I got a penalty.
What was it? The first? Yeah.
I'm the first musher in history to be penalized for forgetting a piece of mandatory gear. Record.
Should.
Yeah.
I
have
should.
A record.
Remember that little comment you made about getting mad at the people who just want to make sure you remember things?
Yeah. Maybe I should drag you along the Iditarod to make sure I don't forget things. But yes, Dan Caduce picked up my cooker in Shagtulik and brought it to me in Koyuk. And the biggest mistake I made was I forgot to nominate him for the Sportsmanship Award in the Musher meeting, so I owe Dan a huge apology and a couple cases of Leinenkugels for sure.
Right. You said, what can I do to repay you? And he said,
He misses Leinenkugels.
He misses Leinenkugels, and he knew that
Yes.
in Wisconsin we have plentiful access to Leinenkugels.
Yes. So Dan, if you're watching this, I've got you, buddy.
The Leinenkugels is what, like an hour and a half from here?
Yeah.
Leinie Lodge, which we have not visited yet, but maybe we'll have to go.
Yes, I will get them to you. And sorry I did not nominate you for that. It was a total failure. Anyways, back to
the trail.
Nikolai.
We have our little cheat sheet here.
Yes. So, who is first?
Milla Porsold. Milla Porsold.
Cool.
Could Milla win this race?
Well, she has a chance.
They always say the winner is usually one of the top 10 into Nikolai.
Yep. Never been lower than top 15. I think it was. Or maybe top 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Milla, she came in. Dogs look good. As I say, she was doing her Milla trill.
Yes.
We have a book.
A kid's book.
Mac has a book with penguins, or it has all the animals, and they say what noises they make. And the penguins say, trill, trill. I've never heard a penguin trill before. I'll look it up after.
We've heard Milla trill, though.
But we've heard the Milla trill.
Yes.
And if you haven't heard the Milla trill yet,
You're
just
missing out.
watch her videos.
You're missing out. Yes.
There's nothing more that needs to be said. You'll notice.
Yeah.
But every musher has her thing.
Right.
And that's her thing. Or it's what her dogs respond to. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
her own thing.
It's unique.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, I use a whistle to get my dogs going. I never talk to them. Just whistle at them. And
Ryan says mush.
Ryan says mush. But my point of the whistle is when the crowd's screaming and people are talking, they can hear my whistle outside of all of that. And I'm sure Milla has some sort of the same outlook on her trill.
Yeah.
Something different that the dogs won't hear from anything else.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Team looked good.
Yeah.
Team looked good there.
Yes.
They pulled in for a rest.
Mm-hmm.
And away she goes.
Yep. She stayed a little longer, right? She's few.
Well, I don't know. Well, you've been checking the tracker more than me this evening.
She's, I think it's Jesse, Travis, Ryan, Dallas, Hunter, Matt Hall, and then Pete Kaiser. And Milla's probably right behind them.
Well, look. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Milla's right behind Pete. So she must have took a little longer rest there in Nikolai. She's just how far behind Travis there. They kind of came in close together.
3:03.
2:90. So 13 miles. So she must have left about an hour behind Travis. So she took a really decent rest in Nikolai. That's probably very smart, especially coming in there first. She's been making a push. And
what's a trail like leaving Nikolai?
Well, the trail leaving Nikolai, at least the last few years, has been only put in by Iditarod. So it's kind of soft, and you're usually leaving there during the day. So in the heat, you're on a river, so you're in the sun. So it's a little bit of a slow run for the first part of that stretch going over towards McGrath for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next team was Travis Beals.
Yes.
Travis had an impressive run from Roan.
He did. He's still having an impressive run. He is putting time on everybody right now going over to McGrath.
Very consistent speeds.
Yes.
Very impressed. This is the best team I've seen Travis have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hands down.
Yep. They look amazing.
Yeah.
Moving amazing. Too.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. They are impressive. That's really all we have to say.
Yeah.
We're very
keep up the good work.
Proud.
Yeah.
Very proud. And I think watching the top 5 pull into Nikolai, I think this was the strongest top 5 I've seen pull into Nikolai too.
Yeah. They're looking really good.
Every team. Top 6. Milla, Travis, Ryan, Dallas, Jesse.
Hall, Matt Hall.
Yeah. P. Kaiser. They all looked great.
Yeah.
And dog numbers have been great. I think 14 to 16 dogs across the board, at least going into Nikolai.
I think Jesse left with maybe 13.
Yes, but going into Nikolai, everyone had 14 to 16. In the top field, the Jesse Holmes aside, I think 15 to 16.
Leaving there too, yeah.
Travis had 16 on the line. He did have the trailer set up but he did not have the dog in the trailer, which
Yep.
is kind of interesting, but they were moving great. I don't know if you have any
fresh snow situation decided that it might be better for them to all be pulling.
Yeah.
It seemed like Dallas had one in the sled.
Dallas had one in the sled. Jesse dropped one.
He had it in the sled when he came and dropped
Matt Hall had one that he dropped, but I don't think it was in the sled.
No.
On the line.
But Dallas was intentionally hauling one, not hauling one
to drop.
He took it out and put it back in the gang line.
He did, yes.
And mushed it up to his parking spot. So he was intentionally hauling that dog to give it a rest. And so Dallas will haul up to 4 dogs, but if trail conditions don't permit him to haul 4 dogs, he'll haul less and less. Sometimes just 1 or sometimes 2, depending on how hard going it is. And if it's really soft and slow, then he puts them all on the line and gets the power that he needs to move at a decent speed. So it's interesting, but yeah. So then next was Ryan. Ryan's team looked really good coming in. Yep.
His leaders, I thought, looked really great.
Yes.
They were ears up.
On point.
On point. That's a good way to describe that. We laughed when we watched Ryan's Insider video because he pretty much took a direct quote. Maybe he somehow watched our video, but he took a direct quote where he said, well, not direct, but almost, where he said that checkpoint, his dogs don't usually look like anything much. And on the trail, they look a lot better.
Yes.
And I think it was Bruce Lee or someone who said your dogs looked awesome coming in on the river before the turn coming into the checkpoint.
Yep. I think
anything to
Ryan's
allude to
dog team is a lot like my dog team, and he actually has a few of my dogs in there, so it makes sense too. I mean, our dogs know when they get to a checkpoint, it's time to relax, calm down, take a deep breath, enjoy some pleasurable sleep, etc. Meal. Some dogs are just super hyper when they get to a checkpoint. They just
we can
scream and pound.
We can say that Pete's team.
Yeah,
Pete's team came in there.
Well known for
holy cow! Like when you look at that team, you're like, no one should be touching that team.
Yeah.
But then when I watched Pete's interview, I got a completely different feeling off of what he was saying. Like he was maybe worried about some possible chinks in the armor.
But that's also Pete Kaiser. He said
he's very overcritical.
Yes, he's very overcritical, yes.
And I know people like that where they think there's something to worry about when there's not.
Absolutely.
But that's still surprising because you look at that dog team and you think, wow.
Right.
Like out of everyone, out of probably anybody who came into Nikolai today.
Yeah.
That dog team.
But we've seen that before, in the Gold Loop. Did Pete scratch that year, or
I don't know.
He definitely held back a while, but he came through the Iditarod checkpoint, and it was like, that dog team is going to win the Iditarod.
It was. I remember you saying this.
Yeah. Then he had a little bit of trouble a little later on, and it's just crazy the difference in attitude with dogs in different situations. And some of those dog teams, they come into a checkpoint and they're just on fire. And maybe it's a training thing. Maybe that's Pete's bread and butter. But Ryan and I are a lot alike in that way. We like our dogs calm, relaxed, quiet. I think another thing that plays into that a lot is tours. They're used to sitting, relaxing, waiting for the next tour.
That's huge, actually.
Yeah.
I remember when I first was around your dogs, I was like, because, I was just like every other naive person who was newer into distance mushing. And I guess I've seen sprint dogs before, or more exposure to them.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are they just standing here? Like what? And Wade was like, I just did tours all summer. Like they really just think that this is what we do.
Yeah.
And so that's why yesterday I said our dogs are work hounds. Like they have their job and
their excitement's when they're moving.
Yeah.
They're exciting when they're moving. They're relaxing when they're not. Yes.
But Ryan looked good.
Yeah. I raced, for instance, just a quick example on that. I raced Travis's dog team in the Kuskokwim 300 one time. And when I stopped my dog team, they all jump in the snowbank. They eat snow. They roll around. They take a break. We get up, we go, they bark at each other, bite, fight, run. Fun bark, fight, run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a dog team, because of Travis's mentality and the way he likes to train a dog team, when I would stop Travis's dog team, they would just start screaming and pounding in harness and barking. It's just totally different dog team. So, you know, everybody has their own way of doing things. But so anyway, yeah, Ryan's quote was pretty funny.
Yeah. The thing with Ryan that I told you was I worry about him getting in his own head, going along with how I thought that these teams looked incredible coming into Nikolai. And I feel from past races, hearing Ryan talk to you, just he's one who kind of can get overcritical too, or he could easily be like, oh, you know, look at those teams, they look so great. And so I really want him to just, there's still so much time left on the trail. Like if you're getting passed by a team right now, like you said, it's okay. Don't let that get in your head. Don't push because you feel like you need to.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially hot weather, slow trail, we can stand up and say, this is too slow, we got to be going faster, and we can ask the dogs for a little extra and work really hard ourselves to get the little extra. Then you get to a checkpoint and you're like, I ran an hour faster than everybody. I was going so slow. But everybody else was going the same speed and they were just enjoying it and relaxing. So yeah, it's definitely easy to get in your own head and think like, I gotta go faster, you gotta go faster. But in reality, you're the fastest team on the trail. You just don't realize it. So yeah, I mean, but I think Ryan will be good. I think he's in there for sure.
Yeah, he has our dog Julius, who
Julius, Randall, and Gary. But yeah, Julius,
Randall, and Gary, and Julius and Gary trained with Eddie Burke all year. Julius is the most awkward dog I have ever met. Very shy, awkward dog, to the point where I'm not the biggest Julius fan. Off the trail, on the trail, he's gained my attention a little bit after your Quest 550. And so today I was watching the live feed and I call Wade and I'm like, Wade, come up here and watch Ryan leave Nikolai. Julius is jumping in the air like a crazy man. And he does not. Like, you've seen our dogs before. Some of them are pretty awkward. And like when a camera's on them, they're like, like Julius just needs to have eyes, like other eyes on him. And he's like, oh. Don't look at me. He was amped. Whatever Ryan fed him there. Some go-go juice. That was good. So we were proud of that.
Let's talk about Dallas first. Dallas is next.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about him already, about how he hauled a dog in and seemed like a dog that was hauled in on purpose, strategically. And his dog team looked phenomenal, as always.
Per usual.
Dallas's dog team is hard to read because of the different gang line. I feel like it just sets it.
Do you want to explain this?
Yeah,
the
so
CV
Dallas,
setup?
Most of us have lines that are just lines. That's all that's included is ropes. And we have one straight rope down the center. We have ropes that come off for the pulling and ropes that come off for controlling the neckline, controlling the movement abilities, etc. Some mushers mush without necklines and they just have the pulling line. Dallas CV has the main center line comes out to a spreader bar that makes the lines wider out from the center line so that it's a more straight pull. And that goes to a harness with a spreader bar on it as well, which makes the dogs, again, another straight pull. It seems to me like it creates kind of a slow lope in the dog team. I thought it was the breed of dog, but the more I look at it, I think it's the gang line that kind of creates that type of gait. So looking at Dallas's dog team in that setup is much different than looking at dogs and X-backs and half harnesses and such.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do we think Dallas is doing? People were concerned about the time he took having to field dress a moose.
Well, according to what I've heard, it only took him 10 minutes.
That's impressive.
So, yeah.
Is that impressive? Well, let's break this down a little bit, because there are some viewers who have some questions about what is all entailed into field dressing a moose. So, trigger warning. This is going to discuss gutting a moose.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I think people are going to be a little bit surprised at.
If any of you have hunted before, you'd know how to gut. Same thing as a deer or anything like that.
What do you need for equipment?
Just a lot bigger. Knife.
Like what size? Like just a regular knife?
Yeah, it could be a little knife even. I've done it with a 3.5 inch blade. As long as you have a really nice sharp knife. Usually what I do is open them up from, the bottom of their belly up to their chest. With just a gutting situation, I would open up from the bottom of their belly up to their chest, neck area. Then I would do a cut up around the belly, up around it, and up the back side of the rib cage.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would take my axe and split it up the chest and split the rib cage off and just peel that off and dump the guts out of the moose and continue on.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Doable. For sure. And we already talked about it being Iditarod rule and state law that you have to do that. So, yeah. So that's Dallas's race so far.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting.
And Jesse Holmes and Matt Hall.
Jesse Holmes and Matt Hall. So, yes, both of them came into Nikolai, ski pulling, pumping, and full loping, moving.
What do you think?
It's pretty funny to me that they would be doing that. I've seen that with a lot of teams in the past, but they usually do it coming into a stop. Get a little stretch out before you lay them down to rest.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys did it and kept on going.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting to see the two fastest dog teams coming in, both drop a dog.
Like coming in loping?
Yes. They came in loping.
They dropped a dog, yeah.
They both dropped a dog. I mean, Jesse's dog was already in the sled, so he'd obviously been hauling it for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Matt dropped that dog when he arrived, still on the line, so it must have been in pretty good shape still, but just one that didn't want to continue traveling another 50-some miles to the 24.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised by Jesse. He only went 6 miles through Nikolai and camped, which leaves him a pretty long run over to Ophir, and that's where I believe he's headed, is Ophir. I mean, that's usually his goal. Maybe he adjusted. We'll stop into Tatna. Maybe he's adjusting with that 6 miles out so that he can go to Tatna and head all the way up to Cripple for his 24. That could be an option.
Yeah. We'll talk about, we should talk about 24 strategy. So.
Yes. But yeah, that was my thought on Jesse Holmes. I was just surprised that he only went 6 miles out, seeing that I would think his plan was to jump Nikolai probably 10 to 15 miles out and then go all the way to Ophir. But so yeah, that was surprising. Then Matt Hall did the exact same thing, but he went, can't remember how far he went, to closer to 15 miles out of Nikolai. So that tells me that Matt's on his way to Ophir for sure. Don't know about Jesse yet.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes. Pete.
Yeah,
we talked about Pete a little bit. The dog team looked really good coming into Nikolai.
Yeah, I hope he figures it out.
Oh, he always will.
Yeah,
I can tell you a rumor about Pete if you want to hear one.
Well, I don't like rumors, but
there's a rumor that Pete made a phone call coming into Koyuk when he won, and said, "I made a big mistake. My race is over." And then he went and won the Iditarod.
Oh, I feel like I feel like that probably happens.
Oh, that happens to all of us. I mean, we watched Lance Mackey for years. He'd come into McGrath and say, "I'm headed to the airport," and then go win the Iditarod. So, talking about getting in your own head, it's so easy.
I don't know. Maybe it's the empath in me. Whenever I see someone doubting themselves, or I'm just always no.
Yeah, you got this. Go, go, go.
Yeah, chip break. I bet this sounds really good in the microphone. So funny, last night I had a bowl of ice cream. Now we're doing chips. Honestly, at home, I'm in bed by now.
Normally, right? Absolutely.
So I love y'all. Truthfully.
I'm tired, that's for sure.
It's all right. We're getting our second wind here.
How are you?
So I tell myself, 1, 2, 3.
I don't have it in my glasses. Did you catch yours?
Okay, Wade. After Nikolai is when mushers are going to be contemplating the whole way to McGrath what their 24 situation's going to be. The checkpoints of McGrath, Tatna over, and on the northern route, Cripple, are all the options.
Every once in a while, we get a guy that 24s in Nikolai. You know, Nick Petit did that last year.
Last year.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody needs to pull up and relax for 24 in Nikolai. So we have to take 2 8-hour breaks mandatory on the race, and we have to take 1 24-hour break mandatory on the race.
And so why is the 24 here?
It just seems to be most popular. The race has only been won a few times. Let's just say this, 98% of the time, the race is won by 24ing in Tatna. It's never been won by 24ing in Nikolai, never been won by 24ing in Ophir, maybe, or McGrath for sure. I don't know if it's ever been won by somebody 24ing in Ophir, maybe once. And then there's been maybe not even 5 teams that have won by 24ing at the halfway. So Tatna's the place.
And you never 24 there?
I have once and I scratched.
So there's like some bad juju or what?
I don't know. I just have never tried it again. So I really like McGrath because it's quiet.
Wade probably has his own bed already in McGrath.
Absolutely.
It's like...
No, McGrath is really quiet. They have a lot of food. And there's just not very many teams there. In Tatna, you're sitting with 90% of the race. So yeah, in McGrath, it's very quiet. There's only about 10 teams there. The teams are pretty well spread out, so your team isn't getting woken up every time somebody goes out to feed, stuff like that. Tatna's a little more cramped, especially with so many teams stopping there.
And when you're in like the front pack, as you usually sometimes are, no one else is taking their 24 in McGrath. So as you said, you have the checkpoint almost to yourself for probably yourself or a select few teams for a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a difference maker.
Yeah. I mean, you're spoiled. You're spoiled. I remember walking in the one time and a lady brought in a huge bowl of fruit salad. And I said, "How much of that can I eat?" She said, "As much as you want." So I grabbed the bowl and sat down at the table and ate the whole thing. It was phenomenal.
But here's the question. Have you had the pie?
I'm not a big pie guy.
Have you had the pie?
I have not.
Okay. Tatna checkpoint. He's a pumpkin pie guy.
Yes. Pumpkin pie for sure.
Pumpkin pie. There's a couple Tatna people who back end message me, say, "When is Wade going to come to Tatna? What does he have against us?" And you just say,
"I love Tatna."
And you just say, "I'm not a pie guy." This guy loves pumpkin pie.
I do love pumpkin pie.
So if you put out
the only pie that I love.
If you put out a menu pre-race that says you will have pumpkin pie in Tatna, he will never blow through that checkpoint.
Yeah.
And some whipped cream, done deal. 24.
Yeah, okay.
Not a pie guy.
Okay. Pumpkin pie. Yes, Tatna is the spot. Definitely, for sure. Everybody loves Tatna.
And let's talk about the dog team coming into the 24. It's a sweet spot. Like you might love McGrath, but sometimes your dogs might not be ready at McGrath.
Yes.
And your dogs have to be ready 24.
Yeah,
right?
There's a couple different strategies to go on in your 24, a couple different opinions. Some people like their dogs to be slightly tired coming into their 24 because they know that they've gotten a little bit out of them. They're in a good position. A lot of people like their dog teams to come into their 24 as charged as possible so that they're guaranteed to come out of their 24 at 100%.
Yeah. How do you like, I mean, you traditionally 24 McGrath all the time.
Right.
So obviously you set up your race if that's your intention.
Mm-hmm. I think also that my 24 McGrath goes along well with my conservative personality and strategy. That's a long run to Tatna from Nikolai. Long run. It's 54 miles over to McGrath. It's another 24 miles over to Tatna, so you're looking at 78 miles of mushing to get to Tatna.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long ways.
But no one's won Iditarod in 24ing in McGrath.
No one. I was always hoping to break that. Another one of those records. But I don't think that it's impossible. I think that just the majority of the teams stop in Tatna, and there's something in the water in Tatna.
It's a pie.
It's a pie.
There's something in the pie.
Yeah, you get a little soul food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about...
Well, let's talk about Ophir and Cripple for a second.
Okay.
24ing there. Ophir and Cripple are pretty much the same checkpoint, except for the personnel.
Give the viewers an idea of what Ophir and Cripple are like.
So the checkpoint setup themselves is bunkhouses, both in, Ophir last time there might have been a tent.
They're remote, right?
Yeah, they're remote. There's no permanent residence at either. Ophir is owned by a pilot guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Really cool guy. Really,
he owns Ophir?
Yeah. The checkpoint where we stopped.
Okay.
He's got a cabin. So when you pull into Ophir, you see the videos. There's the cabin right there. That's his cabin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's really nice of him.
It is really nice of him. And then on the Gold Loop, we stopped at Burmeister's cabin.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah. Aaron Burmeister. But usually we stop at this gentleman's cabin, and that his crew is a really fun crew. They're good guys to hang out with. I scratched in Ophir one time, so I got to know them a little bit. Pretty cool guys. And then,
so the owner has like his own volunteer crew there?
Well, I think Iditarod sends their volunteer crew out, but him and I think a few of his buddies come out and just hang out and kind of party
that's
up
cool.
for the race and
that's cool.
And enjoy it. Yeah. So it's pretty sweet.
But there's no sweet village ladies bringing you
pies and stuff.
Pies and warm cooked meals. And
there's a little bit of food there usually, but not much. Kind of on your own there, fending for yourself. So that's a little bit of a downside to Ophir and Cripple.
It can be extremely cold.
Yes. Especially in Cripple. The other thing is that McGrath and Tatna both usually have hot water available, so you can make your dog meals extremely fast. For Cripple, you have to cook snow in your cooker and take that little bit extra time to do those kind of things. So it does cut into your sleep a little bit, nothing major, but
okay.
Yep. Cripple is usually a really cool crew. That's one of the CV boys usually runs that checkpoint, Tyrell CV, and then he kind of recruits whoever he can.
Mm-hmm.
But they usually are really well set up there and a really good checkpoint. I actually really enjoy sleeping in those bunkhouses because they're warm and they're really good for drying things. There's just a heater right in the middle of the room and usually a lot of spots to hang stuff up and things like that. So that's pretty nice.
And it's the halfway. You attempted a halfway 24
for the first time last year. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
A horrible decision.
It's Iditarod, baby.
Iditarod, go mess up.
And then the next year you could try it again and it would work.
You never know, right?
But tell us, because I think a lot of people want to know your thoughts behind that. You made the comment today that the trail always appears a lot nicer when you're not running the race.
Mm-hmm.
And last year there was very iffy trail conditions.
Yes. So when I left Ophir, the trail was hard and fast. It was beautiful. There was a super nice crust. But I got passed by a big snow machine group a little ways into my second run out of there. Maybe they went by when I was camping. I can't really remember, but they went by somewhere around there, and it was just sugar snow the rest of the way to the halfway. The rest of the way to Iditarod. And I talked, and I thought, well, maybe I just made a mistake, and that's how it was. But I talked to some of the skier runner people.
The ITI.
The ITI. I did a sport guys, and they were like, oh no, it was hard and fast most of the way, and then those snow machiners went by and it was a slog for us too. So
the snow machines broke through the crust. Yes. And then it was like bottomless underneath.
Sugar. Yeah. But then the crazy thing was that it set back up for the teams at 24 before, and they had a nice hard fast trail coming down. They made up a lot of time on me.
Right. I remember you called me.
Yes.
and you were like, of course
I did.
And you were like, well, started off great.
Yeah. I thought it was a brilliant idea, and it was a brilliant idea until the inevitable happened.
Yes, and that's just Iditarod.
It is Iditarod.
Yep.
I've tried it 4 different ways now. I went in the top 5 one year to Iditarod. Snow machines passed me, sugar snow. Next year I said, I'm going to be conservative and stay away from the snow machiners. I went 18th place down towards Iditarod, stopped at Old Woman Cabin, 10 snow machiners went by, sugar snow. So last year I was like, you know what, I'm going to go first and not see any snow machiners, and then here they are. So it's like...
So basically, the snow machines are always there.
I'm a magnet. Snow machine magnet. That's all there is to it. Well. But yes, there's always machines on the trail.
And they play a role. And I think that's
a huge role.
That is something that's not really talked about, is that dog teams are not the only people on the trail. And there is quite a bit of snow machine, snowmobile traffic. And that can hugely affect a dog race, can affect trail conditions.
Hugely.
To the point where Iditarod a couple of years ago was it a rule?
Yeah, they made a rule about, we had a few mushers that had snowmobile crews following them, and sometimes they'd be in front of them when the trail needed a machine crew in front, it seemed like, and they'd be behind them when the machine crew would hurt the trail.
It was a good rule because there was obvious strategic riding happening. And
it's been happening for years, though.
It was probably a long time coming. Mm-hmm. So just another point that there is more than just Mother Nature out there. There's Mother Nature and that human which affects nature. It. Yeah, human nature. Yeah.
So anyway, snow machines play a role in the race, and it's crazy. One person can go down across the crust and have a fast trail, and then snowmobile crew comes, and not all these snowmobiles that are on the trail are associated with the race. I remember going into Unalcleat one time in first place, and all the villagers were really excited for the race. They all rode out to watch us, which is awesome. I fully encourage it, but it definitely softened up the trail, changed it up, but I wouldn't ask them to stay at home and not come watch the trail or watch the race. So it's just part of what we do. Yeah. So.
All right.
Anyways, what's next?
I don't know. I forgot to call Travis Killatrav.
Killatrav is going to be in McGrath any minute.
Let's look.
Yeah. If you don't know who Killatrav is.
It's like a no, if you know, you know.
Right.
Kind of thing. Wasn't Travis like, who's that?
Yeah, he had no idea.
For those who don't know, it's NFL player Travis Kelce. His social media handle is Killatrav. And so today when today when Travis was coming in, Nikolai, I went on the live feed chat, which I normally don't do. And I just wrote Killer Trav in big capital letters. And I was thinking all these teachers are probably like, what are Sophie and Wade talking about? Killer Trav. What's that? Who does the nicknames? The outsider does nicknames.
Yeah, the outsider, yeah.
I forgot. Oh, I think he's Beals on Wheels for them.
Yep. Yeah.
Or was that Table 200? I don't know.
One of them uses
They both do the nicknames. Beals on Wheels was really good. we kind of made a new one for Milla Trilla. Killa Trav and Milla Trillin. Millie Trilly. Since people pronounce her name every which way.
Yeah.
Jesse Holmes is his thing did not update. Hold on here.
44 minutes.
Yeah.
Ago.
What in the world?
He might be in McGrath. Huh?
Okay. We need to go because we need to watch Travis come into McGrath.
Oh, in the live feed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick.
All right.
Let's do it.
We ended the broadcast recording. We ended the recording and we were planning on watching Travis come into the live feed. We're still waiting on him to come into McGrath. And we noticed a musher running to grab his bags and straw. And it's Jesse Holmes, who camped
outside of Nikolai.
Yeah, tell me what you think. What's going on here? I'm surprised.
He's either setting up to go to Cripple or he decided it was not a smart idea to go to Ophir.
To Ophir?
Because last year he camped outside of Nikolai and then he went all the way to Ophir for his 24.
So how far?
And it sounded like that was his plan again this year. So either he had a second plan that would bring him to...
Travis may be coming up.
He either had a second plan to take him to Cripple, which included him stopping here, or he's changing plans.
Okay.
And doing something different.
I made a comment on Facebook that I don't know if this is like a shared viewpoint or opinion of anybody else, but the Insider zooms. I love them. The Insider zooms up on the mushers so close when they get into a checkpoint, and then they show like them slamming into their snow hook, or like they're zooming in so hard on. They're zooming in so close to the clipboard, we could probably forge a musher signature by this point, which is just a couple little scratches.
I saw Milla just a straight line almost. So,
but why do they do that? Like, it's so nice to see the dogs. You just want to see the dogs.
I think that it's like different we can see for different viewers.
The pores on your face.
But anyways, Jesse Holmes has stopped McGrath. What?
This is the first. What?
I don't know if somebody in first place has stopped in McGrath in a long time.
This is breaking news.
Breaking news. Jesse Holmes is pulled over and strawn his dogs in McGrath.
The first unexpected move of Iditarod 2024.
I am interested to see if he goes up to Cripple or if he's going to take a really short break and head over to Ophir, or if he ends up pulling up for his 24. Yeah. If he ends up pulling up for his 24 here, I would say that this definitely was not planned. I would think. Just
if he pulls over in Ophir?
If he stays here and takes his 24, I'd say that it was just something that ended up having to happen.
Okay.
But again, if he does, good on him. He realized something. He saw that things weren't working out as he planned them, and he's improvising, and sometimes that's the best move to do, is improvise and not try to push the plan. I'm
going to be looking forward to the Insider video.
Yeah, absolutely.
The interview. Katie Jo is there. She said she's hoping she can talk to him at some point.
He's in hyper-focus, high-drive mode right now.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't wasting any time, so he knows that time is...
It seems like if you're moving that fast, you're probably not 24ing.
Right, because he wants to make every minute.
Every minute count. So this could be a short stop and heading on over to Ophir. Yes.
What's Travis going to do?
Travis is going to blow through, go straight to Tatna. That's my guess. I don't think that he's going to head up to Cripple today.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Who's after him? Ryan.
Ryan might go to Cripple.
To Cripple.
Yes.
But he would be stopping in McGrath.
Not necessarily. He might go over to Tatna, take a break, and go up to Cripple.
Mm.
I think it's still up in the air for him.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Have you talked to any of these guys?
Absolutely. I'm not trying to give too much inside information from what they're telling me.
I'll give you guys the inside information. They're both
easy.
they're both doing great.
Absolutely.
Like that's what it is.
Absolutely, they are doing great. They're right in there.
Yeah.
With Jesse stopping, they're going to be leading the race in a moment.
That's so exciting.
Travis and Ryan, first and second.
That's really cool.
That is really cool. Really cool.
Worth mentioning that Travis bought a group of dogs from Linwood Fiedler.
Yes.
And I believe...
So congratulations so far, Linwood. Your dogs are killing it.
Yeah, I believe there's a handful of them in here. We'll have to... Maybe Sarah can confirm that. And then I don't know if they're racing with Travis, but Travis bought a few dogs from Lance Mackey.
Yep.
Shortly before he passed.
Yep. So I know that he had a few in there throughout the season and been training with him and stuff. So I'm not sure which ones of them made the group for Iditarod here or not, but he's got a few Lances, a few Linwoods, and most of his, I think. So.
And this is just what's so fascinating to me, because a lot of people, don't, like when they're just watching and they're just race fans or insider fans, they don't know those little details.
Yeah,
that Travis acquired dogs from Linwood and Lance Mackey. And just how from year to year, even having just a certain range in your team or a certain depth on how much that can make a difference too.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's a team coming when the kids get really excited.
Yeah, when the kids start piling up on the snowbank around the...
And that's one of your favorite parts of McGrath too.
Yes,
you always tell me when we go shopping for drop eggs, Wade always makes sure we pack extra candy and little stuff for the kids all along the trail, not just McGrath, but there is a swarm of McGrath children always.
Always, yeah.
And Wade's like the candy man or something, probably in McGrath.
They went the wrong way.
Hey, directionally challenged.
There we go. I told you, Travis, get lost. You got lost right in the checkpoint. Sorry, Sarah. I love the guy.
She would probably agree. She's
probably laughing right now,
yes.
too. Well, it's not very funny because he's losing time. I might have known before the race that he's not set up for 24 in McGrath.
That's not surprising.
Set up for 24 in Tatna, so my guess would be that he continues on to Tatna. I do know that he's set up in Ophir and Cripple, so there is a possibility of him continuing on to Ophir Cripple, but I'm going to guess that he stays in Tatna.
All right.
Travis really wants to win, and the winning spot is Tatna. This will put Travis Beals in the lead of the Iditarod.
Again. He led last night.
Right, but he'll be leading into his 24, which means that he will probably be leading out of his 24. Or close to it. I can't remember what bib number was he. 17?
Something like that.
I can't remember off the top of my head. So, yeah. Travis might be leading the race coming off the 24. Wowza. Be hard to tell if anybody goes up to Cripple, though, because he'll still be behind them. Running right along, heading out of there.
And he's off.
He's off. He's leading the Iditarod. But remember, folks, leading the Iditarod only matters in Nome.
Touché.
Right? Or at least that's where it really matters.
Yeah, you've led the Iditarod before. One time.
One time. I've led it a few times.